Alperen Sengun has become one of the best centers in basketball, and it feels like he always goes completely underrated when discussing the best centers in the NBA. He's easily top 5 and I would argue in some ways top 3. Sengun has had an excellent 2025 FIBA Eurobasket so far, showcasing why him and Kevin Durant could be one of the most dominant duos for the 2026 NBA season. His elite passing combined with his great shooting touch, crafty footwork, and sneaky athleticism make him difficult and unorthodox to guard. With that said, Sengun was drafted just 15th overall in the 2021 NBA draft, getting overlooked by many teams who could have used his unique skill set while becoming arguably a top 3 player in his draft class so far. Now let's take a look at what happened to all 15 players drafted before Alperen Sengun. Also, if you watched my previous video with the players drafted before Franz Wagner, the first 7 players are exactly the same, so feel free to skip to the last 8 players if you would like in this video. Thanks so much and enjoy. At number 1, we have Cade Cunningham. Had a career year last year and helped lead the Pistons to their first playoff appearance since 2019. Averaged 26 points and over 9 assists. I think you could probably say he's at least the top 5 point guard in the NBA. Obviously 26 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds. That's absolutely insane for a point guard. Obviously though, he's like 6'7", 6'8", one of the taller point guards in basketball. If he can lead the Pistons to another playoff appearance this season with his all-around skill set, he's got to be probably the top 15 players in the NBA at this point. I mean, not many guys are averaging the numbers that he is. He's a guy that can be the best player on a championship team someday, and I fully expect him to do that with the Pistons. Now, whether they'll win a championship, with his tenure to the Pistons, that will have to remain to be seen, but clearly Cunningham has brought the Pistons back into playoff contention, and he should be really fun to watch next season as arguably one of the NBA's top point guards and best overall players. At number 2, we have Jalen Green. After struggling mightily in the Rockets' first round series versus the Golden State Warriors, Jalen Green was traded to the Phoenix Suns along with Dillon Brooks, and now the Rockets have Kevin Durant, and yeah, the Suns, they got Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks, and Jalen Green should have a pretty prime opportunity, especially on offense next year, as kind of the running mate to Devin Booker. They'll be kind of an interesting duo to watch next season. I feel like they both kind of have similar games. I mean, it feels like both those guys are really developing their playmaking skills and, are starting to play more on the ball and off the ball in some respects. But yeah, Jalen Green should have an interesting year with the Rockets. I have to imagine with all the opportunity, he will probably have a career season in multiple different categories. I think the big thing for Jalen Green, though, is his efficiency, right? I mean, he can obviously score. He's very athletic, very talented. He's very shifty, very quick, right? But he's just got to be more efficient, right? He's a very tough shot maker and shot taker. And so that's something that could hurt him next season or potentially help him if he can make a lot of those tough shots. So Jalen Green, we'll have to see. Fully expect him to have a really good year with the Phoenix Suns. And maybe the Suns can surprise a lot of people along with Devin Booker and Dillon Brooks. And maybe they make a run at the play-in or the playoffs. We'll see. At number 3, we have Evan Mobley. He had a career year last season with the Cleveland Cavaliers, helping them get over 60 wins. First time since LeBron has been there, although I believe the Cavs haven't gotten 60 wins since like way back in LeBron's early years in Cleveland. But point being, Evan Mobley, he's definitely developed into one of the best big men in basketball on both ends of the court. He's already an elite defender. His offensive game is definitely developing. And at some point here, he's probably going to have a 20-point per game season. Have to imagine that will probably be next year. But yeah, career year for Evan Mobley, averaging 18.5 points per game. 9 rebounds, 3.2 assists, shot 37% from 3, by far taking the most attempts in his career. So yeah, he's really developing as an offensive player, not only as a 3-point shooter, but also just as a playmaker and passer. And he definitely had a lot more touches this past 2025 season compared to 2024, and I fully expect that to stay the same. I think he probably should be the second or third option on this Cavs team. Obviously, Cavs got a really talented starting lineup, and Darius Scott and Donovan Mitchell, pretty good backcourt duo, but Mobley, just a really nice compliment that really rounds out this lineup and obviously anchors them defensively, along with Jarrett Allen. So fully expect Mobley to have a 20-point per game season and probably have another career year once again in 2026. At number 4, we have Scotty Barnes. He also had a career year last year, averaging 19.3 points per game, 7.7 rebounds, and 5.8 assists, along with 1.4 steals. I think the main thing with Scotty Barnes, right, he's really got the keys to this Raptors offense now, and if he can improve his 3-point shooting and just hopefully stay consistently healthy, man, Barnes is going to be one of the top 2A players in basketball. I think he's already at that point, but it would help his case if the Raptors, were better next season. Obviously, new addition of Brandon Ingram, that should really help the Raptors out, and honestly, they're a pretty underrated team to probably make the playoffs next year. I mean, the East is pretty wide open. Raptors, obviously, the past couple years haven't been that good, but if Scotty Barnes is healthy and Brandon Ingram's healthy, RJ Barrett's healthy, this team could look pretty scary next year. Honestly, they could definitely make a run at it in the East. I'm not saying, they'll make the finals or anything, but they can definitely sneak into the playoffs next year, and Barnes will obviously be a big part of that. So I think for him, right, continue developing his three-point shot, staying healthy, and yeah, he could probably be an all-star next year for sure, and we'll see if he leads the Raptors to the playoffs. At number 5, we have Jalen Suggs. He signed a 4-year contract, I believe last year, early on in 2025, so he's going to be with the Magic for quite a while, but he struggled to stay healthy last season. Despite that, though, he was having a career season, 16.2 points per game, 4 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1.5 steals. I think the big thing for Suggs, getting that 3-point percentage back up to 39.7% like it was in 2024 when he kind of had a really true breakout season, I would say, as the Magic starting point guard. And him and Desmond Bane could be a really interesting backcourt duo next season for the Magic. I think Desmond Bane was a really good addition to this team. And really, Jalen Suggs, just effort and defense and just grittiness and toughness. I think he really complements Desmond Bane well. And just his whole Magic roster, man. I love the way he plays the game, his fire, his energy, his passion. You love to see it, and obviously his offensive game really developing as well. So Jalen Suggs, I'm excited for his potential next season, and I think he's going to be a great backcourt running mate with Desmond Bane, and obviously a great complement to Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner in 2026. At number 6, we have Josh Giddey. Had a career year last year, averaging 14.6 points per game. That wasn't his career high in points, but had a career high in assists at 7.2, had a career high in rebounds at 8.1, and his 3-point percentage went up to 37.8%, a career high, and also taking a career high 4 attempts. So Josh Giddey really broke out after the trade deadline last year when the Bulls traded away Zach LaVine. I think that was a huge reason Giddey had a career year. Now, according to this video, his contract situation still hasn't been resolved, so you guys are going to have to, probably write to me in the comments here whether it got resolved or not. But I have to imagine Josh Giddey will stay with the Bulls. There's no way they can let him go, especially after trading Alex Caruso for him last year. So I think he'll stay with the Bulls. Now, what that contract looks like, I have no idea. But Josh Giddey, I think he's primed for another career year with the Chicago Bulls as their starting point guard. I think he's really going to have the keys to this offense, and him and Kobe White can make a really interesting backcourt duo next season. They were already pretty good last year. I think another year, building off that, maybe the Bulls also sneak back in the playoffs as well. We will see. They've been a play-in team the past 2 or 3 years. But yeah, hopefully Josh Giddey, he'll stay with the Bulls and he can lead them back to the playoffs. At number 7, we have Jonathan Kuminga. Now, I've talked about him a bunch on this channel, so I'm not really going to get into this too much. But yeah, his contract situation at the recording of this video still hasn't been resolved. I am very skeptical about his future long-term with the Warriors. So even if he resigns, which he might by the time this video goes up, I don't see him being with the Warriors longer than even the trade deadline or even longer than a year or two. I think just his fit with this roster just isn't the best, especially after the Jimmy Butler trade. And Kuminga, he's an amazingly talented player. But that's just the thing. Kuminga would probably fit better on a roster where he can be more of the lead ball handler, and that's probably just not going to be the Warriors long term. So we'll see where he ends up, but more likely than not, I have to imagine by the time this video comes out, he will be a Golden State Warrior by the start of the 2026 season. At number 8, we have Franz Wagner. He had a career year last year with Orlando, averaging 24.2 points per game to go along with 4.7 assists and 5.7 rebounds. Also averaged 1.3 steals. I think the big thing with Wagner is his 3-point percentage kind of dipped the past couple years. Only 28% in 2024 and then 29% in 2025. His first couple years in the league, he had that around 35-36%, which is where you'd really like to see it. But yeah, Wagner is really developing as a playmaker. He's pretty much a perfect second option to Paolo Banchero, and I think just with both their two-way skill sets, the way they can both handle and score the ball, being as tall as they are, and just, yeah, like I said, the two-way players they are too, man, this Orlando Magic team, they could surprise a lot of people next year, and have to imagine Wagner, he might have another breakout season, and we'll see, man, the Magic could go pretty far next year in 2026. At number 9, we have Davion Mitchell. He kind of had a breakout second half of 2025 with the Miami Heat, played pretty well in their play-in games and playoff series versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. But yeah, it was very efficient once he got traded to Miami from Toronto. Averaged 10.3 points per game with Miami to go along with 5.3 assists and 1.4 steals, and also shot 44.7% from 3 on 3.1 attempts. So Davion Mitchell, I think he's really found a perfect situation for him. Now, he probably won't start in 2026 for the Heat, but just coming off the bench, having that six-man type role, he's obviously an elite defender, but now that offensive game is really starting to develop, he's obviously a pretty good playmaker. Now that three-point shot is really coming along. Man, Davion Mitchell, he's going to be a very, very good player in this league, and he already has been, right? But I think the Miami Heat are a perfect fit and situation for him, and I'm really excited to see how his 2026 season is going to go. At number 10, we have Zaire Williams. He kind of had a breakout year in a way with the Brooklyn Nets. He was able to start a lot of games for them, averaged 10 points to go along with 4 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 1 steal, shot 34.1% from 3, which was a career high. And I think that's the big thing for Zaire Williams is obviously he's very athletic. He's a solid defender. But really, if he can continue developing his three-point shot, he's going to be a very, very, very good player. So I have to imagine the Nets are going to keep him at least, through this 2026 season, maybe 2027. I'm not sure exactly what his contract situation is, but Zaire Williams is definitely developing into a very quality NBA player, and I think he's really starting to make a niche and role for himself as a 3-and-D player. Obviously, like I said, already very tall, athletic. If he can just continue to develop his three-point shot, playmaking, right, those other areas of his game, like I said, going to be a very good player in this league, and he should have a nice 2026 season with Brooklyn. At number 11, we have James Bouknight. He played 3 seasons in the NBA, all with Charlotte. Now, he did not play at the NBA level in 2025, and he did play in the NBA 2K26 Summer League this summer. And also in 2024, it was reported the Blazers signed Bouknight to a non-guaranteed deal. Looks like, though, this was in the preseason and obviously ended up getting cut because he never played for the Blazers last season. But yeah, Bouknight, he's trying to get back into the NBA. He's a pretty talented scorer, so I think he'll get in the league at some point this year. Some team, I'm sure, will sign him. But yeah, James Bouknight, that's where he's at right now. At number 12, we have Josh Primo. He did not play at the NBA level during the 2025 season. He last played with the Clippers during the 2024 season. Basically, he kind of had a situation with San Antonio, and they cut him very early on to his contract. I believe he was only like 19 years old. He signed super young, was drafted really young when he was only 18, and he still's only 22 years old. He's got a lot of potential. Yeah, reportedly, he was trying to play during the NBA Summer League this year, but was left off the Bulls Summer League roster. And then there was an article, you guys can see it up on the screen, in October 2024, why the Bulls are bringing Josh Primo into their organization. So, honestly, not really sure if he's still with them. Couldn't really find the information out. If you guys do know, let me know down in the comments. But yeah, Josh Primo, have to imagine he'll probably get back in the NBA and have some role at some point. Like I said, still relatively young. He's a taller guard that can shoot and seems like, he's got some good scoring ability. So we'll see. But yeah, Josh Primo looking to get back in the NBA in 2026 and didn't play anywhere at the NBA level during the 2025 season. At number 13, we have Chris Duarte. He played with the Chicago Bulls during the 2025 season, but really didn't get too much playing time. He still shot 40% from 3 in his limited game action with them. He did have a pretty promising rookie season, and it looked like he would be an integral part of Indiana's future, but it really just didn't turn out that way. I know he's had some struggles with injuries here and there too. But yeah, he was kind of an older rookie coming to the NBA. He's a pretty good scorer. He's got some really good size at that kind of point guard and shooting guard position at like 6'5", 6'6". But this summer, he actually did sign with a Spanish team, and so that was reported in July of 2025. So it looks like that's where he's going to play now for the 2026 season. And yeah, maybe he'll get back in the NBA at some point. We will have to see. At number 14, we have Moses Moody. Obviously, he's a guy I've talked a lot about on this channel, but yeah, had a breakout year with Golden State last season, averaging 9.8 points on 37.4% from 3 to go along with 2.6 rebounds and 1.3 assists. And he'll probably look to have a similar role. He's really developed nicely as a 3-and-D guy for this roster, can guard pretty much 1 through 4. So yeah, he's a very valuable player for this Warriors team. We'll basically see what his role is, but I have to imagine with his new contract, he'll be more of a featured option on offense. Now, I don't necessarily think he's going to start, but just with his role off the bench, playing late in games, Moody has really earned the trust of Coach Steve Kerr. So yeah, we'll just see how that goes this season. But Moses Moody, pretty solid 3-and-D player so far, but is still really young, got a lot of room to grow and develop. So hopefully he'll have a good 2026 season. And lastly, at number 15, we have Corey Kispert. He's played all 4 seasons of his career with Washington so far, averaged 11.6 points per game last season to go along with 3 rebounds, 1.7 assists, and made 2 3-pointers a game on 5.4 attempts. Now, that 3-point percentage kind of has gone down compared to his second season, where he averaged 11 points per game and shot 42.4% from 3. But yeah, that's pretty much Corey Kispert's specialty. Now, the Wizards are in rebuilding mode, and Kispert will probably get a lot of playing time next year on that Wizards roster, though they got a kind of a nice mix of young players and veterans, so they might be a pretty interesting team to watch next season. But I have to imagine, at least for now, Corey Kispert will be a part of the Wizards' future. Pretty solid shooter, got some good size at the shooting guard position. I believe he's around 6'6", 6'7". But yeah, hopefully he can get that 3-point percentage back up. And like I said, I feel like the Wizards are kind of an interesting team. They got kind of a solid mix of, some pretty good veterans and some young players. So we'll see, man. Maybe they'll sneak into a play-in spot. We'll just have to see. But yeah, hopefully Corey Kispert will have a good 2026 season. So that's what happened to the 15 players drafted for Alperen Sengun. This is a 2025 update. If you guys have been following the channel for a while, you know I kind of made a video about the 15 players drafted before Alperen Sengun back in like 2023 or 2024, something like that. But this is updated for 2025 and 2026. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any suggestions for this series. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.